Shovel Knight is one of those games that pretty much everyone has heard of. Probably mostly good things too. I've probably been hounded on to play this game ever since its release, but I just never got around to it. So when browsing a local secondhand store, I came across it. And I picked it up because I needed more reasons to use my Wii U instead of having it be a paperweight. And all the hype that surrounds Shovel Knight, it's all well deserved. Shovel Knight has to be one of the best games I've played in a very long time. Yes, it has a retro feel like many other indie games try to duplicate, but none other have gotten this close to an authentic 8-bit feel. There were many times where I was playing it in which I thought, am I on a modern console, or am I holding an NES controller in my hands? Well, it could be either. But let me slow down and explain the small story that you encounter in Shovel Knight. You play as the title character, who is exploring the Tower of Fate with his trusty partner, Shield Knight. Some dark magic is unleashed, and then the two are separated. Shovel Knight gets all depressed and retires from adventuring. But now, since no one was protecting the land, an evil enchantress takes firm hold of the world, and with an order of no quarter, dominates the country. Yeah, Shovel Knight doesn't like this so much, so he sets out to take down the enchantress, her evil henchmen, and possibly even find Shield Knight. It's pretty obvious what styles of games that Shovel Knight is trying to emulate. The best way I can sum up the game is Castlevania meets Mega Man. You have a short-range weapon in the form of a shovel, but also get access to several range attacks in the forms of sub-weapons, which consume magic. Mega Man, cause... I don't know. To me, the game just feels like a Mega Man game. Just trust me on this one. Or not. So to begin, you get a nice easy prologue stage that lets you get used to the various controls of the game. Shovel Knight controls fluently, and attacks with Y, jumps with B, and uses sub-weapons by pressing up and Y. From this first introductory stage, you'll learn how to attack enemies, how to use the incredibly useful downward thrust when jumping, and even how checkpoints work. You'll also encounter piles of dirt, which Shovel Knight can dig up for some coin, and you'll want all the gold you can find, as you'll use this gold to upgrade Shovel Knight's abilities. Once you complete this first stage, you're introduced to a world map, in which you can choose where you want to go next. Usually each segment of the world map has about 3 stages that must be conquered before the fog rolls away from the next section of the map. There's also bonus stages that can be completed for extra gold, but only once you have the appropriate abilities to conquer them. You also have 2 different villages that can be entered to talk to townspeople and earn upgrades. You'll be making frequent trips to these villages, especially the initial one, since you can use some gold to purchase health and magic upgrades. And is it me, or do these towns have a similar look to Zelda 2? Yeah, I can definitely see some inspiration here, and that's really not a bad thing. But let's move on to the gameplay itself. Shovel Knight is a platformer first and foremost. You'll decide which stage to enter, and then once there, you play through a themed level that has all sorts of bad guys, treasures, secrets, and of course other hazards. Most enemies themselves don't cause too much concern, as most of them could be destroyed in a hit or two. It's more so the environmental hazards that cause the most damage, especially the pits you'll find. There are infinite lives in Shovel Knight though. So what's the incentive of surviving? Well, completing the game of course. But besides that, gold. Shovel Knight is an adventurer, and wants gold. And if you die, you lose a portion of your on-hand gold. If you're a good enough player, you can run back to your spot of death and nab the bags of coins to regain your lost treasures. But if you die again without collecting your lost gains, that first batch is gone forever, and a new set of bags will appear. So dying while you have a lot of gold on hand could really be disastrous if you were saving up for a high-priced upgrade. The checkpoint system also offers a new challenge. Each level has about 3 to 6 checkpoints, but there's an interesting catch to them. These checkpoints can be destroyed for some extra wealth, but of course the destroyed checkpoints cannot be activated anymore, so if you die, you'll go backwards even further. This has an interesting choice for players who want an additional challenge. Maybe you want to challenge yourself to use less checkpoints, with the advantage of earning more gold. Personally, I didn't destroy a single checkpoint, but the option is there for you, if you are confident in your abilities. Your shovel isn't the only weapon you get access to. As you play, you'll encounter merchants that offer you multiple relics that can be used as sub-weapons. The first you really get is a wand that'll fire a ball of flame, and it's pretty reliable for the majority of the game. You'll also earn a fishing rod that can be used at specific points of the game for extra gold or items. There's an item that will allow you to fly in a straight vertical line. You can also find an anchor that is thrown like a Castlevanian axe. There's also a lockpick that will give you temporary invulnerability for a few short seconds, which can be handy in troublesome areas that you can't seem to get past. There are others, but I can't spoil everything, can I? I will say that playing the game on the Wii U makes choosing relics simple. Granted, you can press the minus button to bring up the relic selection menu, but why bother when you can just tap the gamepad to choose an item? It's very simple, and an advantage that I can assume the Wii U version has over the other console releases. Granted, you also have the Miiverse posts, but really, does anyone really bother with those? One thing that will spoil you with Shovel Knight is the quickness of the loading. Take a look. See, we choose a stage here, and bam, play on. That's right, there's absolutely no loading times. This is a breath of fresh air here, compared to other Wii U game I'm going to be reviewing in a few weeks, where the game took what felt like forever to load after a simple death. But hey, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Another great thing about the game is the dialogue between the characters. Shovel Knight always seems to be intent on finishing his journey to take down the sorceress, but doesn't always want to fight. He seems to know many of the members of the Order of No Quarter, and even begs not to have to smack them around. He also encounters random boss fights, who assault Shovel Knight, even though he still wishes not to battle. It's all great, and I even got a few chuckles from some of the conversations of the characters. Visually, the game is flawless. It really depicts an 8-bit game. The color palette seems to be accurate, using a very limited array of colors. Animations aren't overdone, leading to the accuracy of the old-school feel. Even the fonts remain faithful. Yet at the same time, everything has a great amount of detail to them. Backgrounds don't feel empty. Every room that you encounter has a purpose. Dirt will be thrown away and fades as you shovel through it. Lava pouring from the roof gives off subtle particles. I just can't get enough of this style of visuals. The sound is no less impressive. As I was playing Shovel Knight, I feel like the soundtrack came directly from the creators of Mega Man. Maybe that's where I was getting the Mega Man comparison from. Every level has a track that will get in your head and not leave. Stages could take about 10 minutes each to complete, and at no time will you get bored of the music playing through your speakers. In addition, each sound effect is appropriate to the game. Nothing feels out of place at all. Come to think of it, I also get a Mega Man feel from the boss battles. They get a life meter just like your own, and Shovel Knight has to figure out their patterns to defeat them. You don't get their powers once they're defeated, but I just can't help but compare them to Mega Man games. I will say that if you can master a downward thrust attack, most of these battles can be way too easy. And in the final stage of the game, you have to fight each one again after you hilariously fall onto a dinner banquet that they're having. I was expecting to have to fight them each a second time, but I wasn't expecting to find it occur in this manner. I loved it. Granted, the final boss is fairly simple once you figure her out. I'm not going to show it here because this game demands a playthrough of your own. But I will say that at this point, the only risk you run is losing gold, and at this point you should have all the upgrades available. So the gold is just bragging rights at this point. That's not to say it isn't fun. I guess there should just have been a bigger threat to dying in this final battle. I'm also not saying I know what this incentive should have been, I'm just saying is all. Overall, Shovel Knight can be summed up with only one word: perfection. Kyle, Johnny, and all my other friends that bugged me for eternity to play this, I am sorry. I definitely should have played this much sooner. Shovel Knight is a flawless game that, even as I'm writing this review, I want to play it in its entirety again. Maybe I'll do a talkthrough on it, because it's that damn good. It is a bit short, but for $30 I feel I got my money's worth. And I didn't even find everything. According to the game, I played for about 5 hours and got 84% completion. After that, there's still more challenges and a new mode where you get to play as the Plague Knight. I haven't finished that one yet because it didn't intrigue me as much. But I'll get there, eventually. But until then, as for you, the viewer, if you haven't played it yet, do so. You will not regret it. Final score? 10 out of 10. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.